What is the worst thing you have done to have sex? Things you regret. Things that you look back on and now think, why the hell did I do that? Edit, there is more rape than I expected. I invited a guy I was dating over to watch a movie, even though I knew the file was corrupted and the movie wouldn't play properly. So you'd think we had sex? No, because the guy was a motherfucking engineer, and he proceeded to download and install the latest version of VLC player, then a good version of the movie, until he got everything right. We watched the movie, then he went home. Fuck. Engineers successfully fucking up sexy times for as long as I can remember. But I fixed your fridge and car. You're welcome. Engineering major. Can confirm. You know. It's okay to be direct, we have other things we could do. Oh look, I forgot my bra. Whoops. Here, let me fix it for you. I fake an Irish accent, pretty well, mind you. I forgot that I was faking it the next morning. I got an easy out for YA. Just tell him you learned proper American English when you moved here as a kid so you would not be teased at school, but when you get drunk your Irish comes out. In my first relationship, we decided to get a little adventurous one weekend when I was home from college. We rented a hotel room. I tied up my GF, blindfolded her, walked across the street to a Wendy's, bought dinner, came back and fingered her while feeding her a Frosty. It was the most awkward experience of my life, but damn it, she loved it. Well, I mean, she got a Frosty. I think she's the winner in that situation. Good story for the kids. Well, not entirely on topic, but I once had sex with a girl so I could play on her piano afterwards. That's the worst thing I've done to play piano. Everybody knows the only way to a girl's piano is through her vagina. Tickle the ovaries, then tickle the ivories. Fuck bitches. Play piano. A guy I knew from college took a girl on a late dinner date. She parked her car at his house and he drove to dinner. While at dinner, he called and had her car towed so that she was forced to spend the night. Stay classy. A student of the Deren system. Nurturing dependence. He nailed it. My friend who was visiting from New Zealand and I met two girls in Chicago at a late night bar. I faked a New Zealand accent and we pretended to be cousins. Girls loved it. We went our separate ways that night and I continued the accent into the morning. Edit, I should add that the next day my friend was laughing at how bad my accent was and how it sounded Australian. Also at one point the girls started to catch on and asked, you guys sound a little different. My buddy made the save and said he was from the coast and I was from the inland. Never questioned it again. Edit 2, just so this is not left as a cliffhanger. We talked for like 10 minutes in the morning, then I left like a bat out of hell. Never saw or talked to her again. No regrets. My roommate has to fake an Australian accent every time he sees a girl he hooked up with. He ate breakfast with her roommate in the morning and had to make up a bunch of bullshit about Australia while sober, because it would break her heart to find out her one-night stand isn't everything he said he was. My best friend was dating this psychopath who cheated on her multiple times before she dumped him. A few weeks later, he kept trying to get back with her. She turned him down every time. So instead, he asked if they could have one last night of passion, exact words together to get over her, and he would leave her alone. She jokingly told him, yeah, if you tattoo my name on your ass. He did. Showed her the next day. Did he get his night of passion? No. Soon after, an OkCupid ad appeared. Looking for hot girl who likes to hook up quick, first name must be Jasmine. I watched Failure to Launch ... in the theater. I'm a guy, and I once got my ears pierced because a girl wanted to get hers done, and I saw it as an opportunity to hang out. Edit, did bang her. I met someone off for Chan. Hour later, I cooked her dinner. Then into the sack we dove. I would never trust for Chan for something like this. I would never trust for Chan for anything, period. Did she poop on you? With a shoe on her head and a Sharpie in her pooper? How big was her dick? Obligatory Family Feud video. Those guys should be taking notes from the women. Oh, so that's how I get it. This is the opposite. But I had sex with a guy to get at his Xbox 360 and play Fable 2. I have Fable 3. I picked a mushroom and put it behind a woman's ear, then kissed her. It was supposed to be a flower. I couldn't find a flower. My fuck buddy of 6 months one day said she didn't just want to be a fuck buddy and wanted more. Told her she was now my girlfriend just to shut her up and get it in. We're now married and have a kid. Edit, decided to post a PIC for fun and from the lengthy discussion below. Haha, she got you good. No, shh, he's still just using her for the sex. Everything is going exactly as planned. Daddy, tell me the story of how you asked Mommy out. Well, son, I wanted to put it in her butt, but she wouldn't let me if I didn't make it Facebook official. Did you get married because of the kid? Nah, it became a mutual feeling not long after. Funny story though. After we got married, she had her Mirena taken out because we decided to have a kid. After about 6 months of trying and no baby, we had another talk and decided we changed our mind. Started having sex with a condom again. 2 months later, she's pregnant. I'm glad she did get pregnant though. My daughter is just awesome. Edit, wife never got back on birth control after we decided not to have kids. I will post a PIC of me and my daughter to prove she's mine when I get home. There is no mistake. Kind of annoying because I couldn't find one with our faces side by side. Edit 3. Found one. Thanks for the gold, stranger. First time getting it. So let's see what this baby can do. Oh, congrats. Dude, D, I met a girl in town whilst out for drinks one night. I was very drunk, gave her my number, and she called me the following week and asked me over for sex. Couldn't remember what she looked like. When I got there, things were going great. We were getting to it when her 2-year-old son, I knew nothing about this kid being in the house, started screaming. As she was putting him back to bed, there was a terrible banging on the house window. Looked outside and apparently her baby's father had turned up wielding a machete. What was worse is that she had a direct panic alarm to the police station. As he'd been violent in the past, within minutes the armed police turned up and a standoff ensued. After the guy was tasered and arrested, they wanted to interview me. I'd already given the girl a false name, which was awkward. Once they were done, I left without saying goodbye, thinking I'd get the hell out of there even though no actual sex had taken place, only to find my car blocked in by police vehicles and I had to go back in the house to ask them to move. Anyway, I went drinking the following weekend. Bumped into the same girl and ended up back at her house again, balls deep, which was probably the worst thing I could have done. Sleep with someone who I didn't find attractive or nice at all. She was into me and I just wanted to have sex again. And she was an easy option. Edit, seems like a lot of guys suffer from non-masturbatable rest pressure and are ready to fuck anything within reach. Same. Bonus, she had great tits and could suck chrome off a bumper. Edit, I really hope my girlfriend doesn't see this. That's more scary than it is sexy. Get the fuck away from me with your devil lips. I was at a friend's house. Convinced a girl to come have sex with me in the bed of a girl she didn't like, who was a roommate there. The other girl was not there at the time. Obviously. One of the hottest experiences of my life. No regrets on that one. Fucked her friend so she would fuck me out of jealousy. I'd try this, but I don't think I can find somebody's friend who would fuck me first. It is kind of catch-22. If you want to be my lover, you gotta get with my friends. So, they were singing about gangbanging? Only if you're good looking. ITT, the adult version of what you would do for a Klondike bar. I don't regret it, but the stories here did make me remember this. I was sleeping with an ex who still loved me. I'd often give her a booty call when I was horny, and she rarely refused me. I'd left it a while and called her somewhat out of the blue, and it took some serious persuading to get her to agree to some fun times. It was during these fun times that we ended up in a 69. Things were going really well, and she had quite the orgasm. After which, to my surprise, she got up off of me, handed me a roll of toilet paper from the side, said, "Finish yourself off, asshole," and left. Needless to say, I did. I've respected that woman incredibly ever since. Wore a girl's underwear. She wanted to take a picture. Fuck that. She was smoking hot though. I was drunk and about 20 years old. I remember someone else on Reddit once said they put nicotine patches on their girlfriend while they had sex in order to get her addicted to him. Can't remember what thread it was, but I'm pretty sure it was an Reddit thing. But IMO that takes the cake. Not sex, but anyways. I was at the courthouse with my ex getting the divorce finalized. I picked her up, so we go for lunch as the court had lunch break and we're in the car talking, and I start sweet talking her, saying, "You never know, 10 years down the road, blah, blah." She leans over, starts full out making out with me. It led to me going down on her in the car and a fantastic BJ where she got cum on her fancy blouse and pants, only to have to go back in the courthouse to sign the papers to end it all. I wish I could say I felt bad, but I have no soul and she put me through hell. She got cum on her fancy blouse and pants only to have to go back in the courthouse to sign the papers to end it all. Was her excuse she dropped a bunch of toaster strudels? Excuse me, she's lying. That's my jizz, Your Honor. Called my ex a month after we broke up and convinced her we never had breakup sex and that we wouldn't find closure if we didn't fuck one last time. She saw it as a chance for us to get back together. And let's just say it didn't turn out well. I hate myself sometimes. I had to creep you just to make sure you weren't my ex. Get married. At the time, I didn't believe in sex before marriage. This implies you now do believe in sex before marriage. Senior year of high school, one of my buddies starts talking to this sophomore chick and asks how much money he would have to pay her to give him a blowjob. She says, I don't know, like 20? To which my friend responds, what about 15? At this point, my buddy proceeds to talk her down to 5. 3 up front and the other 2 if it's good. He only gave her 3. Called my ex-BF at the time a pussy if he didn't come to my house. He can't stand that word. It was 3 I knew he'd have sex just to prove he's not a pussy. He's a pussy for letting that get to him. Some guy at a party was telling everyone that I was giving out ecstasy with cyclobenzaprine, so this girl comes up and asks if she can have a pill. I glad oblige and she grabs my hand and drags me to the beer pong table, and after about 20 mins, she said she felt it kick in and dragged me off into the wild pink yonder. She also ended up sucking my buddy off in her car, so there's that. Well, even if you're handing out muscle relaxers, those can still put you in an altered mental state. So maybe she didn't know what X was supposed to feel like. On one hand, not ecstasy. On the other, not rohypnol. There was this girl who was pretty into me, but I wasn't really into her. I acted like I was interested in her to get into her pants. That's pretty bad to begin with, but it gets a little worse. So this girl is really into Aneem and Bishanen looking dudes, and I guess I fit the build. I'm pretty slender and have long hair for a guy. As a side effect of her liking this kind of guy, she's also into guys cross-dressing. Anyway, I had been sleeping with her for a while, and I really wanted a blowjob, so we were kind of hanging out, and I mentioned that I wanted one, and she said that she didn't like giving them. I asked what I could possibly do to get one, and she told me that she always wanted to dress a guy up like a girl. So I let her. Shaved my body hair, wore a dress and everything. Turns out people who don't like giving blowjobs aren't good at giving them. 310 would not cross-dress again. My friend let a girl who was smoking hot, like an easy 9, put a silk blanket in his ass during sex, and told him to tell her when he was coming. He did, and she pulled it out and he shit himself all over the bed. I swear to God this is true. She admits to it openly as well. Used a Bible verse to convince a girl to swallow. Edit for more info. Genesis 38-9, and Onan knew that the offspring would not be his. So it came about that when he went into his brother's wife, he wasted his seed on the ground in order not to give offspring to his brother. I was hanging out with a somewhat religious lady friend, the type of girl that would give me a BJ, but then inform you she was saving her virginity for marriage. On one such occasion, I requested her to do such a favor, saving on clean up. She declined, which I informed her was a sin. Jesus ho, how? Preza Dalad, Genesis 38-9, if it's not in you, it will eventually touch the ground. That's a sin. Jesus ho, wah, oh my gosh. Does it taste bad? Preza Dalad, guess we'll find out. If it matters. She was blonde, pretended that I didn't know. She had sex earlier that night with my roommate. One time, when I was 19, I lied that my entire immediate family died in a car accident so a girl would feel sorry for me. I was at the local gym in a hot tub, just feeling sorry for myself. I was actually crying because I had just been fired for stealing. The worst part was that it fucking worked. I used to be a pathetic excuse for a human being. Got drunk. People don't look the same when drunk. Too bad they do the morning after. Put an ad on Craigslist M4M. God, there are some weird fucks out there. Edit. Well, this got more attention than I'd hoped. Mutual Joe, but no gay stuff. But those boys don't ask questions, and they never speak about it to your friends. Pretty good sex if you want it now and don't want secrets to get out. I've never done anything terrible or manipulative, but when I was 16, I did use a cheesy pickup line that actually worked. It was awful, but DM, HS. I was out with a friend I had a crush on, and apparently she had felt the same way, but we're awkward teenagers and not sure how to handle it. Cloudy night, and she was grumbling about how the night sky was ugly. I told her, it looks like this because all the stars ended up in your eyes, and it was on. Oh man, if I said that to my girlfriend, she would make fun of me forever. That's not cheesy, that's brilliant. On a 16-year-old girl? Dude, how much pussy are you swimming in today? Went to a bar with my buddy, trying to break a dry spell. I start chatting with this girl and bought her a drink. Yada, yada, yada. She's into me and lives a few blocks always, but she's with her not so attractive, slightly plus-sized friend that is trying to break a dry spell as well. So basically this chick is telling me that if I want her, my buddy has to hook up with her friend. So it's 10 minutes of me begging my buddy to take one for the team and offering him whatever I can. Like a true bro. He eventually agrees. We go back to their place, get to sexy time, and eventually make our way home. My buddy says it was the worst sex he ever had, and the worst part was her large Mickey Mouse tattoo on her stomach. As he was pounding her, the fat-filled tissue with the mug of his favorite childhood Disney character was jiggling around like a jello mold. I've owed him many a feathers since that night. DM, HS, TL, DR, I begged my buddy to knock a 5 and have the worst sex ever so that I could end my dry spell. Edit, spelling no tranny involved. I feel as if you need to fashion up a better rating system for that. A 5 should be average. Thanks. IGN. That's one awesome wingman. So I had a fairly long relationship with a girl, about a year or more. Lots of ups and downs. Eventually I got cheated on. We broke up, but she kept trying to keep in contact. Got back together, yes, it was a mistake. Then I learned about other cheating that happened before and broke it off again. So then she keeps trying to keep in contact, annoying me, showing up uninvited to parties. She's also managed to get in good with people I know. But anyway, by this time I've been single for a while and was out drinking. She was not of drinking age, being drunk, dumb and horny. I texted her that I missed her. She shows up at the bar. I assume because she asked one of my friends where I was. So end up at my friend's house, go up to his video game room and proceed to put it in her butt. Next day, she got all clingy, had breakfast with her and dropped her off at her place, and then proceeded to ignore her except for telling her that I'm not interested in anything else happening. I felt a little bad, but I got closure. Revenge, whatever you want to call it. TL, Dia called up an ex who cheated on me so that I could put it in her butt. AHH, the old revenge pooper shot. I went home with a girl and she fell asleep. Her roommate woke up and asked who I was. Asked if we could watch a movie. She started blowing me. First girl woke up and saw it. Her roommate felt bad about finishing the blowjob there, so we left their room and finished. Edit, missed a line. Were there as many plot holes in the movie as there is in that comment? Drunkenly cheated on a really great woman who was very much in love with me, and I with her, who would be devastated if she found out, which she later did. Ruining a great relationship for both of us. Totally random and pointless drunken stupidity, and one of the worst things I've ever done. Aside from family, I don't think anyone has ever loved, cared about, and trusted me as much as her before or since. And I hurt and betrayed her worse than I have ever any other person, for nothing. I still remember the look on her face and the way she broke down when I told her. Almost 2 years later, I regret it almost daily. I wish this were for me. Edit, I feel like garbage. Does everything I liked, wore, and said between then ages of 17 and 23 count? I don't regret this. I was fooling around with a girl and she had to leave for work soon. She got up to check the time on my computer and said we had enough time. My screensaver freezes the image when it turns on, so it was actually 20 minutes later. We finished. She got up and checked an accurate clock in confusion. I played dumb. Doesn't matter. Had sex. Edit, it was the bubbles one. My screensaver freezes the image when it turns on. That sounds like the opposite of a screensaver. Not particularly shameful, but definitely the lamest. Wrote a note that said, wanna bang? Yes, smile. No backflip. We've been dating for 5 months, so I guess it worked pretty well. Married? My ex-wife. I told this girl I'd take her to our formal if she climbed in my loft. Didn't take her to formal. I had the inverse happen to me. I was set up by a friend's girlfriend with one of her sorority sisters at the winter formal. I drove all the way from upstate NY to Boston to take her out, but when I did, she was so hung up on some other dude she banged 2 weeks ago that she didn't talk to me the whole night, and I was just sitting there in a suit and tie talking to a bunch of people I didn't know because I didn't want to bother my friend and his girlfriend the whole time. I still had a good time though. Meeting new people is always fun, even if the night doesn't turn out the way I had hoped. It was my junior prom night in high school, and I went with my girlfriend of 2 years. I was totally expecting to get laid. No problem. Well, it became apparent that this wasn't going to happen by any conventional method, because we got into a stupid argument as all high school couples do, and we argued into the wee hours of the night about whatever it was, and after we made amends, I assume it's time for the makeup sex. Wrong. She was too tired and still a little pissed. She ends up going to sleep, and I'm wide awake trying to decide on how I can get laid. I'm not sure how or why this worked, but hear me out. I stick her sleeping hand ever so carefully in my pants, leave it in for a good 5 seconds, then get up as I'm getting ready to leave. Once she is awake, I forcefully remove her hand from my pants and say something along the lines of, "If you don't want me while we're awake, then you can't try having me while you're sleeping," and she wakes up, astonished and turned on that she had grabbed me in her sleep. That's when all bets were off and we were at it like high school kids. TL, doctor, prom argument, hand pants, sex, Neas. Went to a club with a friend, trolled the club for Somone to have sex with, left my friend standing in the club while I left to have sex with the girl, fucked her, came back to the club and picked up my friend to head home for the evening. I didn't even make an effort to get to know her, and she wasn't what I'd call hot. Impeccable time management skills though. Speaking of the club, gather round kids and let me tell you a tale of two boobies. So I was fucking this bitch in the ass, right? No, I'm kidding. I was at this gay club that I used to go to. I'm straight, but my friends used to love gay clubs and this place is fucking packed. At first it was cool, then it wasn't because I couldn't see anyone coming. This girl apparently is scoping me out, found this out later from a friend, and she approaches me and asks to dance. I'm like, "Hey, sure." Drunk. We start dancing and she's pretty hideous. Keeps shoving my face in her tits. Like I was getting some serious neck injuries from my head being jerked in her tits. Next, she runs her hand up and down my cock like it's a fucking lamp. Jeannie isn't coming out tonight. Stop it. I try to move away and dance with my friends, but she's determined. She forces me to feel her tits, kinda drunk, and she had big ones. So I felt a little. Then it hit me. I gotta get the fuck out before something nasty happens with this. Nasty. For the first time in my life, I used the "I'm sorry, I'm gay" line. Oh my god. I'm so sorry, I didn't realize. Luckily, this gay dude saw me from the bar and said, "Hey honey, come over here with me." Dude was in his 30s or so. He went from super gay to sounding like Barry White when I got over there. "I know you're not gay." Nice dodge. Have a drink. He and his partner paid for my drink. Cool dudes. Yeah, we can definitely go out on a date soon. Yeah, I'll give you a lift home in the morning. Yeah, I have loads of booze back in the flat. I'm not that type of guy. I'll definitely text you. Didn't tell a guy I was dating that I was moving away from the area in a month. He was cute and the sex was good, and I was worried he wouldn't want to keep hooking up if he knew there was an expiration date. "You're leaving soon, so we should stop having sex?" Said no, boy. Ever. Alright, throw away for this. I had stopped talking to an ex-girlfriend after an extended drama-filled period that resulted in a suicide attempt on her part. We stopped talking for about a year when I got a message out of the blue. I decided to be courteous as she loved out of town. About a week later, she told me she would be coming to my town to visit friends and asked if I wanted to get coffee. I hesitantly agreed. We met up at a local coffee shop, but it was late and they closed, so we just kind of hung out in some random parking lot. While we were there, she proceeded to tell me about how she hooked up with a guy and ended up getting pregnant. The guy wanted nothing to do with it, and she didn't want to keep it, so she had an abortion. She started crying, so I hugged her to console her. I still found her pretty attractive, so I figured, why not? 5 minutes later, I'm balls deep. 10 minutes later, I realize I am the worst kind of person. TL, dear ex-girlfriend had an abortion, console her with my wiener. I used to hook up with a girl, and then for some reason that ended. She told all her friends not to hook up with Partypoperpity, but they only knew my name. Had no idea who I actually was. One night, a bunch of her friends were over and hanging out, and this one girl was pretty into me. All of a sudden she said, "Wait, you aren't part of Perpity, are you?" I said, "No, that's my roommate. My name is Bob." So the whole time she was bitching at my roommate for being an asshole to her friend while she was all over me. We then had sex, and right after I finished, I said my name isn't Bob, it's part of Perpity, and I kicked her out of my bed and made her go home. Really helping your reputation there, Bob. For some reason, that ended. Well, I can't imagine why. Lied to her, saying that her boyfriend was cheating on her, which in this case he really was, but I didn't know that at the time. I'm an ass, I get it. I'm sorry. Sometimes sex with the exes hurts the most afterwards. I hope you meet some other girls soon. I hope you meet some other girls soon. Girl here. Made an OkCupid account on the pretext of going on dates. I'd get about 25-50 unique hits and 10-20 messages per day, depending on how active I was. I'd pick a guy or more each week and set up a date. I'd give him my Google Voice number for texting. Regardless of how much I protested that, I'd prefer going 50-50. About 90 of the time, the guy would insist on paying for dinner and drinks. It could get really pricey, depending on where he wanted to go. These guys were into woo a partner. They sometimes wanted to go to really nice restaurants. Afterwards, we'd end up at his place, never mine. Get it on. I'd leave the next morning after agreeing to future dates and whatnot. I'd block him on OKC so I wouldn't get any messages and delete the contents of my Google Voice every month or so. It was a pretty depressing place. Probably especially so because I am in an extremely male-dominated field, so I'd get set up with lonely engineer physics types. The majority of guys that I met on that site really were looking for love, and I took advantage of them. I stopped when I had an epiphany and realized that I was lucky I hadn't ended up dead in a ditch somewhere or riddled with STDs. I test clean and have been in a monogamous relationship for the past 6 months or so. We didn't meet on OKC. He doesn't know I did that. Edit. Some people wonder if it would not be more obvious to say I want a one-night stand up front. A very good point. As a woman, it is frequently more difficult for me to orgasm, and culturally, sex ends when the man ejaculates. A one-night stand is more likely to roll over and pass out when he comes, whereas a guy hoping for emotional involvement is going to do his damnedest to get me to orgasm. A second note, if I may, is to say that the reason I did not formally inform them of my decision to immediately discontinue communication is due to verbal abuse, threats of physical violence, and the begging pleading that I'd get as a response. Because I didn't feel like it. At least you had sex with them. I just did it for the free dinners. I like how the guys get high fives for emotionally abusive shit. And your top comment is a chastisement. It's dickish, but so is everything on this thread. I dated the female equivalent of Sauron. She had a body, though, also had her friends spying on me, always needed to know where I was, what I was doing. My cell phone was like the One Ring. If I used it, she was on my ass like FLIs to shit. To this day, I regard and refer her friends as the minions of Sauron. But DM, HS. I smiled and nodded through an entire Yoko Ono album, start to finish. Start to fucking finish. Till my trust issues are definitely 100% justified. Had a date and drove the girl to my place to watch a movie. Got late, told her I couldn't drive her home because the headlights were broken. I told her that her safety was important and it was illegal to drive with broken headlights. Got laid. My headlights were not broken. Locked the bathroom door of a McDonald's. Pulled out a used tampon that was stuck inside of the girl for who knows how long because she couldn't reach it. And I really wanted to have sex. Oh God, the smell. Memorized an entire Usher CD. I don't actually regret this, but it was definitely a sneaky move. I've used sites like AF in the past, and one woman let me use her account so I could see all the creepy messages she would get. One caught my eye. It was from a couple and the woman handled the account. I message her with my profile saying I'm in a couple too, and that we're looking to swing. Weeks of chatting go by and I find out she has aspirations to be a model. I tell her I have worked as a photographer and that I can help her out, followed by the disclaimer that I sold my lights and accessories and only have my camera Sony and X5, not pro at all. She invites me out to a club to meet her and her husband. I get there and it's packed and loud, so we don't do a lot of talking. The husband asks about my GF and I say she has to work the next day, so she stayed home. Bar closes and they invite me back to their place. They have a bottle of vodka, so we proceed to drink some more. She then starts getting into her outfits and I start photographing her. I even had her husband hold a cell phone up to her face as a key light. My camera's battery dies and she leaves to her room to change out of her slutwear. When she comes back, she starts giving me a lap dance. I then look at her husband and he's in full support of it. She then whips my dick out and starts going down on me in front of her husband. She then asks if I have a condom, to which I reply, hell yes. I run to my car, grab some rubbers and come back. Back inside, I see her sitting at the end of the couch and her husband pulled up a chair. I then start plowing her in front of her husband. TL, Dia pretended to be a photographer and railed an aspiring model in front of her husband. Pretended to like Sylvia Plath's poetry. ACHDU, main dumb bass. A buddy and I know sign language, so we would go to bars and one of us would act deaf. We would pick out a pretty girl near the bar and the deaf one would stand at the bar. The bartender would ask what he wanted to drink and eventually get pissed off. In comes the other friend, signing to the deaf friend, asking what he wanted to drink. Consequence, pretty girl thinks you are a good guy, taking care of a poor handicapped friend, and all you have to do is close. A fat girl, like, really fat, grotesquely fat. Felt pretty good, actually. Wouldn't do it again. God damn, she was fat. Sweet, a fellow moped rider. Fat bottom girls make the world go round. I once took my wife to a bunch of Broadway shows for the pure reason that they made her give me blowjobs. I'm writing a Broadway musical, actually. It's called Blowjobs Are Worth a Few Hours of Watching Cats. Pretending that he was a nice and interesting person, when in fact I couldn't fucking stand him. I just wanted some sex, but he wanted a girlfriend and got really clingy. I knew I shouldn't have slept with him, but I was horny. I felt kinda bad though, when I finally just started ignoring him and stopped taking his calls, and he sent me the most cringe-worthy letter I've ever read. I wish I still had it. He even spelled my name wrong. Met a girl at a party at my house. We were both mildly to severely drunk. She confessed to one of my buddies that she was super into me. Beer goggles. We strike up a conversation. Girl, my favorite color is green. Me, that's so weird. My bedroom is green. Horizontal mambo. My bedroom was in the attic and was entirely cheap fake wood paneling. Literally no green. I knew a girl who had been in a motorcycle accident. As a result, she had dentures. No one really knew, or if they did, they didn't care. She wasn't ugly or anything. Just really not my type. Well, I found out she liked me, so I did what any guy would do. I pretended I liked her. We got drunk, and I got a blowjob from her without her dentures in. I should add, she was kind of slutty. This is relevant because she gave the best blowjob I have ever had. Factor in the no-teeth gummer, and by God, it was fantastic. I sometimes stop by after work or a hard day, and she will give me a blowjob. They are so good, I just can't stop. I know it's evil. I'm a bad man. Told a girl I'd give her a Garth Brooks CD if she sucked my dick. It was my sister's CD too.